I'm going to be showing you how I make my own sound effects for my LEGO stop motion videos and how you can do the same. I'll talk about different microphones later in the video and also how to use your sound effects in your stop motion videos, but let's just get started right away with making our own sound effects. First of all, where should you be recording your sound effects? The app that I like to use is a free app called Audacity, which is super useful for making your own sound effects because it's completely free and it has a lot of useful tools. First of all, by far, the most used sound effect that I have in all of my videos is the walking sound effects. So let's create some different walking sound effects. I have several miscellaneous objects around my desk right now, which include some Lego bricks, books, pencils, dice. Everything that I'm going to be using to make sound effects are likely going to be things that you have around your house that you can use as well. So the most simple walking sound effects that I use in my videos are the hard floor walking sound effects. And to do that, I simply take a shoe and tap it up against a hard surface until I get the right noise. For this first sound, I'm just going to use my desk. Okay, so this first one, I would like it to be a little bit of a deeper sound than what I got, so I'm gonna try using a different surface for the sound now. This time I took the shoe and tapped it up against a book that was sitting on my desk, so let's see how that worked. Okay, no, we're deleting all of that. That didn't work. This is a good time to note that making sound effects is all about trial and error. A lot of sound effects aren't going to sound right and you're going to need to re-record them, and that's all right. Okay, and now our next step is to simply save the file and name it. Actually, for some reason, it didn't record the pop-up that showed up when you export the video, so you can't see me name the file, but that's okay, because that's not important. And the sound is created, so now I can remove that and start with a new sound. Alright, so now we have several hard floor sounds that we can work with, but what about when you're walking on grass or carpet? Generally, I just use a piece of clothing and brush my hand up against it. Here I've got a shirt that I'm just going to brush my hand up against, and let's see what kind of sound we can create. I'm also considering when I'm making these sounds how quickly a minifigure takes each footstep, because that's what these sound effects are for. They're for stop motion. So I want each footstep sound to roughly match each minifigure footstep. Now I'm going to take the shirt across, lay it across my desk, and then tap the shoe up against it like we did before, but now it's going to be a little bit more muffled. That sound effect was a little bit quiet, so I'm going to come over here and increase the volume just a little bit and see what we have. Now, one sound effect that I don't currently have right now is a sound effect that sounds like walking across dirt or gravel. I don't exactly know how to make that, so I'm just going to experiment by taking a shoe and walking across different things until I get a nice gravelly sound. I'm going to start by some Lego bricks. So this is the sound that we ended up with. And I did this by holding a handful of bricks in my hand and just tapping the shoe up against the loose bricks in my hand, and I just dropped one. This first sound effect that I did was about half of the speed of a minifigure's average walk cycle, so I'm doing another recording over top of the recording that I already did so that I can double the speed of the footsteps and it will line up better with a minifigure's footsteps. So you can see here what I'm doing is each time there's a spike in the sound, that's obviously a footstep, and I'm making sure it alternates footsteps back and forth between the two tracks so that it increases the frequency of each footstep, if you know what I mean. The footsteps come quicker and it's not a slow walking sound. Now I'm going to move on to filler sound effects. These are sound effects that happen throughout the video whenever your character is doing something, but they're not doing something specific. You know they're making noise, but you don't exactly know what noise they're making. If that makes any sense, I'm going to show a few examples of that. Now these are going to be sounds that I'm going to be putting in here and there to make sure the video does not sound silent, because you can see the character doing something, you should be able to hear them doing something, but you don't exactly know what that sound is supposed to be. Let me show you an example of one of those sounds. Here I'm just going to take my shirt, I'm just going to brush up against the shirt, and that's all my sound's going to be. Alright, and that's it. That is literally the whole sound effect. This is going to be a sound effect for if the character maybe sits down in a chair, or if they're holding something and maybe they set down that thing that they're holding onto a soft surface. This sound could be used in so many different scenarios, and it seems like a kind of silly sound effect to make, but it's one that you probably end up using a lot. I'm going to speed through a couple of these so that you can kind of see what I'm going for. So right now I have a couple of books and some cardboard, and I'm just going to kind of shuffle them around to make some various noises. I also like crumbling up a piece of paper and kind of shaking it between my hands to create some various different noises. This is a noise that I used for all of the little critters and animals in the gardening video. You could also use this sound as leaves and plants maybe blowing in the wind in a video. And you can kind of make a wind sound effect by just very lightly blowing into your microphone. And there, now you have your footstep sound effects and your various miscellaneous other sound effects. There are many times where you'll need a sound effect that you haven't pre-recorded because it's a little bit of a niche sound effect that you wouldn't really use in any other video. Whenever these come along, I usually just voice over those sound effects into the video that I'm making. Normally, when I don't know how to create a sound effect with various items around my desk, I usually try to go and record the actual sound itself. If that's not possible, you can try to recreate it as closely as possible with things you have around the house, but if not, there are places online that you can go to get free sound effects as well. So if you want a sound effect of a door closing, I would literally go up to a door, bring your microphone, and close a door, and that be your sound. If I need a sound effect for a minifigure opening up a microwave, I will go to a microwave and record myself opening up the door. But you won't be able to make any sound effects if you don't have a microphone, so what are the best microphones to use? The easiest option here may just be using your phone if you have one. In this case, you'll have to download an audio recorder on your phone, but if you just search for an audio recorder in your app store, you will easily find many free options. And while I'm thinking about it, there is an option to turn on my webcam as the recording device here, so let's actually try out how good my webcam's mic is. Testing, is this mic any good? So not the worst quality, but I would always recommend specifically getting a microphone since it doesn't take a whole lot of money to start getting really good quality. This is the first microphone that I got. This is the Logitech Blue Snowball Ice microphone. It is only about $40 to $50 and it's a really high quality microphone. I highly recommend. It's a great quality microphone and it's very cheap. And I'll go ahead and show you the quality difference of this microphone between the microphone that I've been using. I have switched to the Snowball microphone and this is what it sounds like. The current microphone that I am using right now is a Logitech Blue Yeti Nano, which I will link in the description. I've been really happy with this microphone. As someone who does stop motion as a hobby, this is a tiny bit on the more expensive side at about $80, but it's still a very great price for the great quality that it is. A lot of people would consider this a really cheap microphone, but I guess I'm kind of picky sometimes. Those are personally the only microphones that I have purchased and used myself, so those are the ones that I can give my input on, but there are a lot of different microphones that you can choose from. So now let's talk about how to actually add your sound effects into your stop motion videos. I would highly recommend using some kind of editing software like CapCut or Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. That way you can easily place your sounds into your video and move them around and trim them very easily while also seeing how they fit into your video. With an app like Stop Motion Studio, it's a little bit more tricky, but you can absolutely do it, and let me show you how. Here, I'm going to select the frame that I would like to add the sound effect to. I'm going to come over to the plus on the bottom left corner, and I'm going to add audio. Then over here in the sound effects, I'm going to go to import, and keep in mind this is with the paid version of Stop Motion Studio. This is Stop Motion Studio Pro. You aren't able to do this on the free version. On the free version, you'll have to voice over all of your sound effects. That should bring up the file explorer where you can select your sound effect, and now my sound effect is into my video here, but it's not properly trimmed. So we can play, you can hear the sound effect, but it's going to keep playing even after it needs to be done. In case you're wondering, this was more of a test stop motion that I did a while ago. This is not actually a video that I'm working on. This was simply me testing out different facial expressions, as you can see here. Okay, so now we're going to right click on that frame. We're going to press on audio, and this will let us trim and adjust the volume of the audio that we just added in. Now, I don't exactly know how long this needs to be. I'm just going to trim it quite a bit This is going to be a minute, 0.3 seconds long now. Let's see if that's the right size. That is a little bit short. It can be a little bit longer, so we just kind of have to trial and error here. Then I'm going to press done, and now my sound is in here. So you can see down at the bottom there's sound effect markers on your little timeline here, and we can watch it and we can hear the sound in our video. Now this is a little bit tedious because you have to keep trimming until you get the right length, which is why I would highly recommend using a different editing software to add sounds. I would definitely export my stop motion video from Stop Motion Studio and then put that into an editing software where I can add sound effects. And that's all for this video. I hope this gave you some ideas for sound effects that you can create for your own stop motion videos. Thanks for watching.